Are you ready to start living a more confident, successful, and safe life, regardless of what's going on in the world or what has happened in your past? Then you're at the right place at the right time. The FemVincible podcast, where we bring you content and guests to help you focus on moving forward as the powerful you that you were truly meant to be. So welcome to FemVincible. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the FemVincible podcast. I'm your host, Cranford Blackman. And if you're looking at the title of today's episode, From Memes to a Safer You, you got to wonder, what the heck does that mean, right? Well, we're going to take a little walk through the way that my head works. And sometimes that means bringing up some weird connections. But I think this is a pretty good one. I think you'll follow along with me on it. So my wife, Penny, sent me a meme a while back. I don't remember what the picture was, but I'm sure it was great. But it said something to the effect of, if being hard on yourself worked, you'd be better by now, right? So what does that mean? Well, maybe you're like me and, I do quite a bit of self-beat up, that I don't do this good enough, or I didn't do that fast enough, or I didn't eat smart enough when I went to that restaurant. And it's kind of tough on us, isn't it? I mean, we grow up hearing that sort of stuff. We hear it as an adult. And what it means is, and this kind of reminds me of the quote, and I'm sure you've heard it, or you've heard different versions of it. But it's, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result or a different outcome. Well, if we constantly beat ourselves up, if we're harsh to ourselves, if we're the mean manager, the jerk boss to ourselves, then what really are we expecting? I mean, does an employee who has a jerk boss who's always being horrible to them, do they get better? No, they get worse, and then they leave or they get fired, and they're looking for some other place, or they'll be believed in, right? That's fair. That's reasonable. Who wouldn't want that? Well, that's the same for how we treat ourselves in our head. Regardless of what it's about, whether it's we want to be more fit, we want to lose weight, we want to finish that program that we were doing, we want to get our degree or our GED or whatever it is that we want to get, and we beat ourselves up about not doing it, or about how we were doing it, or how we're not doing it good enough. Well, and remember, there's a difference between self-beat up and pushing yourself. Pushing yourself is good. You can do this. I'm smart enough. Just keep on pushing through. I know you're tired, but you can do it. Right? That's not beat up. That's pushing yourself to achieve. And that's good, right? We like that. We want that. We want to achieve things for ourselves, whether it's about our health or our finances or our credentials. And that's okay. That's good. We want to do that. It makes our life better. And it also helps us support others in our life better as well. So let me share some of the things that can derail your management style for in your head, your management style for you, your coaching style for you. And you may have heard this in a couple of different places. This sort of stuff comes up in self-help a lot. It comes up in management stuff a lot. It comes up in leadership things and self-improvement. So anyway, did I say self-improvement twice? I'm not going to beat myself up about that. Maybe it just means I really want to bring home the point about being a better me and you being a better you. So look at that. No self-beat up. Nice job, Cranford. Okay. Now, I've heard two different sides of this about what to say to yourself. And I have my own take on this. In the courses that I teach, I talk about how your body is extremely loyal to you. It wants you to win. It wants you to survive. It wants to do what you tell it to do. So you got to be careful what you tell it to do, because it's listening and it's taking what you say literally. For instance, when somebody talks about they're always sick, oh, I catch every cold that comes around, anything that's going around, I'm going to catch it. Well, their body's listening, and sure enough, they get sick a lot, don't they? You always see them sick. Well, their body's hearing them and taking it literally. I always get sick. So the body says, oh, Cranford always wants to be sick. Okay, everybody, let's shut down the antibodies. Let's back off our immune system and make sure that Cranford's happy. He needs to be sick some more, because that's what he said. He's always sick. So your body, while extremely capable, loyal, and smart, doesn't have the wisdom to separate out the things that you're saying that you don't really want versus the things you do really want. So your body is being literal. Remember that. Your body is listening to you in a very literal way. I bring that up in courses because if a bad guy is chasing you, and you're just running as hard as you can, and you're thinking, I'll never outrun this guy. I'll never outrun this guy. What does your body hear? Your body wants to believe in you and support you. So it goes, hey, he said he'll never outrun this guy. Let's get a cramp in our leg and our calf and our stomach, so we have to slow down. Because we want to do what Cranford said. We want to do what the body said, right? Or what the brain said. So be careful what you're telling your body. Now, the other way, or be careful what you're saying to yourself, because your body's listening. I mean, literally listening with your ears. Okay. Now, I don't know how that works with people who have hearing problems, but we're not going to go there right now. So there's the other thing that you'll hear about, the right way to say things to yourself. So I think that's the way your body listens. Your body is very literal. If you say these things about it, it believes you and does it. Now, your mind, on the other hand, your subconscious, is a little bit different. And I'm sure you've heard this too, where if you're saying positive affirmations for yourself, which some people believe works, some don't, that doesn't matter. But what the key point is here, we hear to use positive words in our affirmations because our subconscious doesn't grasp negatives. Our body does. We can't run this entire distance, but our subconscious is a different thing. So if we say, if we're using for an affirmation or just a positive thing to ourselves, I'm not always hungry. Well, if our subconscious, if our mind doesn't recognize negatives in a sentence, then what did our subconscious hear? Not, I'm not always hungry, but I'm always hungry. And I heard a great example of this on a show that I was watching last night about our brains, challenge with hearing negatives. So if I say, think of a pink elephant, it's easy, right? I mean, it's going to pop into your head practically automatically. But if I say, don't think of a gold elephant, what did your brain just do? That you just pictured a gold elephant. Because our subconscious part, our thinking part, our mind, didn't hear the don't do it part. It didn't recognize it. And the other explanation I heard of that was our mind picks up on what is there, not what is not supposed to be there, not the negative portion. And the example I heard of this, which I also loved, is, if a helicopter lands in your yard, you're going to notice it. But in what day do you notice when a helicopter doesn't land in your yard? You don't. You never even think about it, right? It's a non-thing. So our mind doesn't look for things that don't exist, the negatives, the empty spaces. It looks for the positive, what did happen, what to do. So we want to say things to ourselves like, instead of, I never get sick, because mind hears I get sick, we want to find the positive opposite of it. I'm always healthy. See? I have a positive view of food. I always eat smaller portions. I'm satisfied with smaller portions. I get up early easily. Things. So we want to find the positive wording. Now, why in the world am I talking about this self-improvement stuff and memes about, if you keep beating yourself up? Has it worked yet? No. If it did work, you'd be better now. So I want to bring that around to safety. We go from memes to a safer you. The reason it's important for safety is when we are beating ourselves up, minimizing ourselves, criticizing ourselves, and our body takes on the negative, but our mind just keeps even though we're trying to say a positive thing with a negative, our mind just wants to hear the thing, oh, you can't outrun him, push harder. That's confusing, because we've just told our body something, we've told our mind something, and it's confusing. So we want to put those together, make sure we're saying the right things to both mind and body. And here's why. If you're saying things that confuse your mind and body system, if you're saying things that cause your body challenges, if you're saying things that cause your mind challenges so that you believe less in yourself about what you're capable of, that kind of makes you like the wounded animal in a herd. Okay, so what am I talking about here? If there's a predator, we could say it's a lion or a jackal or a wolf, whatever, it doesn't matter. A predator that's looking for food. If he looks at the herd, what does he look for? He looks for the slowest, the weakest, the smallest, the easiest to catch, the easiest to handle, right? Which would be young, old, sick, injured, those. The same goes with humans who are predators. They're looking for people that they believe are weak, controllable, afraid, easy to manipulate. And if the things that you tell yourself are already reinforcing those kind of beliefs, I'm weak, I'm not very smart, I'm not very creative, I don't know what I would do if a bad guy came after me, I'd probably just freeze, I'm terrified. When your body and mind are believing those things, then you give off a vibe. If you feel afraid, your body acts afraid. It gets smaller, right? To a predator, they're seeing that in an animal way. Oh, smaller, more controllable. I can manipulate that person, I can never overcome challenges. I can't overcome this thing with my job, with my weight, with my relationship, whatever it is. And your mind and body start believing that, or clash about it. Your mind does believe it, but your body doesn't. Then you're still giving off another vibe that comes across as unsure, which to a predator is like waving a sign. Hey, I'm unsure of myself. I might be easy to manipulate. So the key here is to say positive things to yourself, positive reinforcement. Make sure you're speaking positively to your body, because remember, it's listening, literally. and make sure that you're saying the right things in your head that you want your subconscious to hear and take in. That I am good at concentration, that I am capable, that I am a good runner, a good worker, a good spouse, a good mom, a good grandparent, whatever it is. We want those things to be positive, because when our body's in a positive state and our mind is too, we give off a different vibe. Then to the predator, we're blending into the part of the herd that goes, don't mess with them. They're too hard to attack. They're too hard to capture. They're too hard. They're going to fight back. They're going to be too fast, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, with all that positivity, that self-belief, we blend into the background for the predator, as opposed to standing out as a possible target. So what do I want you to do with this? As you go through your day, today, tomorrow, let's do it for a week, okay, as an exercise. I want you to try to become more aware of the things you're saying to yourself, especially in those places you're trying to find some self-improvement, right? Because if you're still being negative about it, if you're still being the jerk boss trying to motivate you with the stick instead of the carrot, then you're probably not getting the response you want out of your body or your thoughts. So for the next week, and you can do this, of course, much longer, but I want you to give it at least a week. I want you to catch yourself when you're talking to yourself, when you're feeling something about yourself, and ask, is this building me up? Is this telling my body literal good things? Am I saying things in a way that my subconscious can hear accurately what I'm wanting it to say? You know, I don't want to be sick. I want to be healthy. You know, to our logical brain is the same thing. But to that inside part of us, it's not. I want to be healthy. So we get rid of that negative. I don't want to be sick, because like we said earlier, our subconscious can hear that not as I don't want to be sick, but I don't to be sick. I don't, or I took the wrong word out, didn't I? I don't want to be sick means I want to be sick. So it's Xing out the negative word and ignoring it. All right. So yeah, catch yourself in what you're thinking about you. Catch yourself in what you're saying to you, and ask, is this building me up? Is this the thing that would help me to give off a vibe, an air, a look, a feeling of confidence? If it does, that's something that is a negative for a predator looking for a target. If it's something that's like a mean boss beating you up, trying to get more out of you, well, that's going to give off the vibe that can look really attractive to a predator. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. That doesn't mean you're making a predator come to you. A predator is always a predator by their choice. Okay, you can't make someone hurt you. That being said, you can do things that might grab a predator's attention. Of course, it's still the predator's choice whether to do something bad or not. Don't ever put that on yourself, okay? What I do want you to put onto yourself is that you have the ability, the capability to give off a bad signal to a predator by loving yourself, believing in yourself, supporting yourself physically and psychologically. All right. So pay attention to what you're saying to yourself this week. And as you do that, you might end up doing it for those people around you too, you know, and you catch yourself. What did I just say to my kids? Did I say it in a negative fashion or in a positive fashion? What did I say to my employee or my client or my best friend? Did I say it in a way that was building up of their energy or that was tearing them down? Because it will also affect them. If they take that in, whether it's your child or your friend or your spouse, if they take that negative in, guess what? They may begin giving off the vibes that look attractive to a predator. So It's crazy to think that being positive and supportive and loving of ourselves and each other actually can make us less viable targets for a predator. Who would have thunk it? Being good, being nice, being supportive, that can help us be safer? You betcha it can. So, all right, that's it for this week. Thanks for coming by. And, if you would leave in the notes, I would like to hear the stories that you come up with this week of what did you catch yourself saying? Where did you catch yourself giving conflicting information to your body and mind? So, yeah, I'd like to hear that. I mean, we all do it. It's not something you'll never get out of your head or you'll completely get out of your head, but you can get better at it. And the better you get at it, the safer you'll be, and the safer you can make your family and the people that you care about too. Building them up makes them safer. Building you up makes you safer. Thanks for coming by. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. This has been a production of LabCalf LLC and FemVincible.com.